broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hey everyone, I guess you didn't think you'd hear from us this week, but we have something special. We are going to go into the vault. We are going to pull out a ride that is no longer at Disney World and talk about how we would bring it back with maybe some new technology, a new queue, and some new kind of, cool stuff going along with it. So amazingly enough, I did not pick Ellen. I just want to let everyone know that. Surprising. So this is going to be something that we try out, see what sort of listeners we get to it, and if it works out well, we will continue to do these every once in a while as kind of a special little treat for everyone. So this is going to be a little different than our regular thing. It's going to be about rides. So I guess we should probably just tell everyone what ride we chose before we get into this. I chose 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, one of my favorite rides that I truly miss, along with Ellen, but that's the one I chose.
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is actually my favorite all-time Disney ride.
I think it's mine too, which is even surpasses Ellen. But I got to choose first because I came up with the idea.
That's
so.
Right,
And what'd you pick, Tom?
What'd you pick?
Oh, I actually decided to pick Ellen. So
he's not going to do it justice, though. Let's just be honest, everybody.
It is one of my favorite things.
He didn't love it like I did. And Trevor, what was on your?
And I picked extraterrestrial alien encounter. I have to say that.
Okay.
Right.
No, I mean that's
terrestrial.
Yes. One of the scariest rides probably ever out there, I would say. Let's be honest, like when you first went on that ride, I was on as an adult. I brought my kids thinking that was just, whatever sort of ride. Let me put it to you like this. This is how crazy it was. A lady got so scared she tried to run out of the place, tripped, and hurt her ankle. Like, that ride was that scary. So we're going to try to reintroduce that one. I don't know if Trevor has it as scary or not, but...
so we wanted to start with yours, though, right?
You want to start with mine?
Well, yeah, because this was your idea, right?
This was my idea. All right, so here's the thing. Well, I have to put it somewhere first, right? So it only makes sense that I'm going to stick it in Epcot because I want to use Living Seas, right? So again, this goes against all my better judgment of what I feel about Epcot and how I just don't like the fact that Guardians of the Galaxy is going to go there. But I have to stick it there because I want the Living Seas. Now,
so nuke Nemo.
No, I'm not even nuking Nemo. So what I'm going to do is no. So I'm going to do it in addition to Nemo, and what I'm going to try to do is I'm hoping I don't have to add more aquariums, but if I do it, I feel like at least I have everything there in place from a filtration system, from all of that, right? So I'm going to try to reuse some of that, even if I can't reuse the aquarium. Now, what I'm going to try to do is, again, like I'm going to leave Nemo there, but what I'm going to try to do is I'm still going to have the queue come up against the aquarium. So what I found was in SeaWorld, they did a lot of this where the queue itself was part of the aquarium. So I'm going to do the same thing here, right? So maybe your entrance is over there behind Nemo. I'm going to use some of that. And I don't even know what lands over there because that doesn't count. In my mystery, world, I'm not worried about land because I'll knock stuff down if I have to. I mean, if they could do Ellen dirty, we can knock down whatever we need to back there. So here's the queue. You're walking through the queue. It's going to be kind of on your way to the submarine, but you're going to walk past some of, this, aquarium with like some sort of like caverny kind of, molding stuff around it. So that would be one idea. And then what's going to happen is the ride itself. So the old ride was kind of went underwater on tracks and kind of had to be like navigated, driven sort of thing. So what I'm going to try to accomplish is the same effect that they did with the waterfalls and the bubbles. So I'm going to have this lagoon, but instead of kind of going around in a circle, I think that I can just go straight down with it, right? And simulate the underwater experience. And again, if everyone remembers, really what it was a boat. It was not a submarine, the original ride, and you were just on the bottom of the boat, right? So that's how you felt like you were underwater. Well, I'm going to do something like that because I think from a safety standpoint, I don't think that we can really submerge everyone under in a real submarine. We would love to.
Yeah, waivers have to be signed, I think, if you're going to do that.
So we're not going to do that. But what we're going to do is, instead of kind of going around, and I think that was probably part of the problem, was this, kind of moving them around. We're just going to go straight under. We're going to go augmented reality. So what we're going to do is we're only going to do it on one side. So the seating is going to be something a little dissimilar to what we remember from the original one. It's just going to be portholes on one side, and that the portholes are going to be actually up against this aquarium. So it's going to feel like you're underwater. You're going to have this whole bubble, thing going as you kind of go down, which is really, again, you're just going underwater a little bit on this boat and then seeing the aquarium. And what's going to happen is that you're going through a mission. Because if you remember the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, right? The people, the actual crew members didn't talk that much, right? But we're going to have one with you, okay? So we want to have this crew member because part of the ride is going to be, at the end you have the squid, giant squid. And what I would love to happen is that not only does this giant squid attack the submarine, but it squeezes it a little bit. And what I'm trying to accomplish in the submarine, this could be a little scary, but that bolts start to pop around the seams. Now, not pop out like they're going to hit somebody and hurt them, right? But that they kind of dislodge and pop, and there's some steam.
Crumples and stuff.
Yes, yeah, and there's going to be some bolts popping with some steam. And the giant squid is going to be this augmented reality. So you kind of feel that it's there with you in the aquarium, but again, it's augmented reality around these portholes. And that's kind of going to be your experience. Now, again, you get off the ride, off of the queue. Now, the getting off of the ride is actually going to be kind of this area where you're going down and out, kind of, so you don't see the entrance to the ride, and you kind of get that island, that experience that you had on 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Kind of like a Pirates of the Caribbean on the way out. I know this is going to be a pretty expensive ride, but I have a lot of money to spend here, so that's okay. So you're going to get off kind of on the island as you get out. But again, I think with just using the aquarium on one side as well as augmented reality, I think we can bring back this ride and give you the same experience. But again, I want it to be a little bit more where, you have this squid. And again, maybe that you even have this crew member with you, kind of a la Jungle Cruise. Again, I understand in the movie that they didn't talk, but that's, again, we have some liberty here, right? Some licensing liberty here, so that maybe they kind of guide you through this experience, because I think that's what would make it fun, right? I think kind of combining a few things from the other rides, we kind of lost that a little bit on the Great Movie Ride. We don't know what's coming back, but give us that interaction with someone bringing you under. And I think you almost need that in case there's a problem with some claustrophobia or things like that. You kind of want that crew person there. So that's what I'm going with on my ride. But now I'd like to hear some questions.
Well, how about some interactivity there? When the final squid attack
so
scene happens.
Interesting. I thought about this.
Like shooting it or something, or pressing buttons to shoot torpedoes.
I thought about the button thing, but the problem with that is, and that's originally what I wanted to do. You'd hit a button and it would give you an electric shock to the submarine to get the squid off. I was thinking about that and kind of having the cast member guide you through this button experience. So I couldn't get her. I don't think everyone should have access to the button. And I thought about maybe kind of giving one kid that experience, right? Bring them up and they get to hit the button. But then, the problem with that is you have all these people that would feel like they were left out because they didn't get to press the button.
Especially with kids, right? So.
Yes, originally I did have that experience in my ride, but I felt like it was better left alone because it just is going to bring angry people to the table, and I don't like angry people at Disney, and I don't like people asking to be the button pusher. I don't like any of that. I took that out of the ride.
Hold on. But what if you use the same concept from Mission Space, though? Where smaller ride, instead of a larger boat, you bring the size down, and then everybody who is sitting in the boat has a role.
Yeah, so the problem with that is that you bring claustrophobia into it, right? So there's a lot of people that don't ride Mission Space because of that, and I want to make this not be that experience, right?
Okay.
And then the other problem is that I feel like, if you have a role, and let's say I'm like, all right, well, I'm the person that's not going to press the button. Ha, ha, ha. Now what's going to happen? I felt like I just leave that out. But it was part of my original idea. Like I said, I have these, submarines are sinking straight down because I want to get a lot of people on them. I want it to eat up people, right? Because, again, that's part of what we're trying to accomplish here, especially with a ride like that, which is along the lines of Jungle Cruise. Because really what we're talking about is a Jungle Cruise ride, just underwater augmented reality, right? I can bring a little bit more to the table when I have those screens. And here's the thing, too. Again, I'm going to kind of steal a little bit of, the Harry Potter screens. You can do a lot of cool stuff with portholes, that become clear after the fact, right? So, you have them kind of foggy as you're going down. With augmented reality and electricity running through glass now, you can do some really cool stuff. I think everything that I'm kind of thinking of is something that exists today, so I'm not looking outside the box of holograms and nonsense like that, And then the other thing is that you have this real aquarium again. I just don't know if we can sneak it into the current aquarium anywhere without killing Nemo. That's the only problem I have.
That'd be tough.
That'd be tough. So, again,
so my thought on that would be, like on the other side of the aquarium, and then you'd set it up kind of like, my thought was, not have it necessarily run against the aquarium the whole time. Mm-hmm. So like kind of like how Journey into Imagination was set up, where there was like a central hub, and then the ride kind of moved around the outside of the hub. Like it was like a.
Yeah, so what I have to what I'm trying to do is that so these boats that are going downward, again, I think I'm only going to get one aquarium wall. So I have to have them kind of lined up in a way that they don't see the other ones, but you still see the real aquarium. So I don't know how many boats we can fit in there against one of those, aquariums. So that's going to be the other part. Because again, I don't know if we want to build a whole another aquarium for this ride, and we kind of need to see real fish to make it worthwhile, right? Again, I think we have to augment the reality to make it as an experience rather than just, a ride where it doesn't feel like you're truly underwater. So.
I will say this, though. In thinking about what you're describing here, Damon, I really like the idea, but it's invoking a lot of very scary memories from when I was a kid, because I rode the submarine in Disneyland, and they had a sea serpent at the end of it. So it was like as you came up, you could kind of see the back of the sea serpent and all that. Yep. And I'm just imagining, for kids, an augmented reality version of that, where like you're looking out into a body of water and there's a thing
it's gonna
there.
Be awesome.
And then like I would never go near that aquarium again if that happened to me on a ride.
Okay, hey, listen, you got a scary ride by yourself, so I don't know if you're going to be popping out daisies and flowers out of your ride, but hey, listen, I want something a little more adult, and I think that would give us the experience of something being a little bit scary. I think they've pulled the scary out of Disney. This would be a way to kind of bring it back a little bit without going absolutely nuts. Maybe you give yourself a ship that doesn't, again, I've seen recently too is, it becomes a queue nightmare, but you could have different experiences, right? Like they have at Mission Space. You could have the big squids.
The plane version and the
that seems silly.
Version.
You know what? Get in there. The squid's squeezing it. Bolts are popping. Steam's coming out. You may feel like you're going to drown. There's the ride for you.
Awesome.
But I think on this theme, I think Trevor has to go next, because I'm curious to see how he's going to turn this thing into a ride that's worthwhile without being scary.
Okay, so I put some thought into this, and so first of all, the biggest problem with Alien Encounter was that it was in the middle of Tomorrowland, and so it was kind of a sucker punch that way, because you go into Tomorrowland thinking, all this futuristic spaceship stuff, and then you get that, which like you said, with your kids, they were freaked out, people got hurt. I saw the same thing. It was actually my wife and I went into it on our honeymoon, and it was the same thing. We went into it thinking, this will, it's Disney, how bad could it be, right? And we were blown away by how intense it was, to the point, where same thing. We saw, people walking out with their kids, and we didn't have kids at the time, but we even felt bad for the other people.
Do you remember going in and seeing people bring like their 5 and 6-year-old and going, yep. Oh, you messed up. You messed up.
Yeah, like we went back on and we were like kind of looking at people going, are you sure you want to be on this? So
they warned you like 10 times on the way in too. There's so many warnings.
But Tom, you've been on the ride, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have no idea, though. The first time you went on it, listen, you warned me a million times. Like Trevor says, you have no clue.
That's true. I'll give you that.
Yeah, so that's the first thing, is that it should not exist in Tomorrowland. So if it was to be brought back, I actually propose that it goes into Hollywood Studios in between Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster, like out back behind them kind of thing. And the reason being
to make it even a scarier location.
Well, but then it's all grouped together, because then you know if you're going there with your kids, you're already going there for Tower of Terror. Okay. So you already have it in your mind. Like, it's not like it's next to Buzz Lightyear, right? It's
amazingly enough, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it makes more sense. The placing matters for sure. It absolutely does matter. The second thing that matters is that when that ride came out, the whole thing about it was in the dark. And and it was a lot of audio. It wasn't even necessarily that it was that the ride itself was that scary. It was that because you were in the dark and all you could hear was sounds going on, and a little bit of lights and stuff like that.
I think it was the feeler things that go across the back of your.
Well, there was the breath and all that kind of stuff. But I actually think, again, using projection technology and stuff like that, you can do that where there is actually a visual there. Like it'll still be very dark to the point where you almost can't see, but using projectors, they can, have movement, have all that kind of stuff.
So you're talking about it still being aliens.
Yeah, it's still an alien thing, but I just feel that if it wasn't completely in the dark, that would take away a lot of the intensity of it.
But you're talking about projected aliens, like from Aliens movie.
No. Well,
Disney does own it now.
So you're not changing the theme of it. So the theme is exactly the same. It is scary old aliens. R-rated movie aliens.
Because it's alien encounter. It still has to be an alien. I mean, I was originally going to say, still make it a Stitch ride and take out the chili dog smell and all that, but
so we're going back to Aliens. So it's in Hollywood Studios. I'm on board with that.
Yeah.
It's Aliens. We got some projection, so we're not totally in the dark here.
Yeah, and then I was even also
aliens
debating,
popping out of people's stomachs, or are we trying to make it a little friendlier, or no?
No, it's up on the wall, it's moving around and all that, but also not as personal, I guess, not where the thing is standing on top of your chair or breathing down your neck.
That's awesome.
Bouncing on your shoulders.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I feel if it was just moving around the room, but then also. I was kind of debating back and forth about even making it into a VR experience similar to The Void. So this is where, again,
So what I've heard is that, so that was funny because one of those things was sitting over at SeaWorld too, like a roller coaster, remember we had talked about with VR. The problem is that you're talking about cleaning each one of those each time, so you got to get is it Flight of Passage time now to get people on, or there's more people in it, right? So we're in the same still scenario, where they're seating in a circle, or no?
Well, the thing is, if you get the VR thing, you don't even need the circle anymore, because the whole point of the circle was because the stage in the middle and all of that, right? So that can all be taken away with if you're using VR goggles. So you can still get the same feeling where you're in a room and the thing is moving around the room, but it's all done via VR now. So it can be, you can have a large room full of the rows, kind of similar to Flight of Passage, because it's multiple. There's multiple bays for that, right? So that was kind of my thinking, was having a large theater type area, but then using either I wasn't sure if I wanted to go full VR or augmented reality. The thing about augmented reality is that I think it feels a little more realistic, because it's still the same room, but it's just things mapped over top. Either using but
then you gotta kind of pretty much go not dark, right? Which is what you want anyway.
Yeah, it can't be a dark ride, and like I said, honestly, I found that the whole dark thing, it did make it a lot more intense, but it's kind of a gimmick too. That
was the best part of the ride, though, man. I loved that. I loved that. That scary was scary.
Yeah,
for whatever reason, that scary was scary.
But to me, it was because it was also in the parks the same time as that Drew Carey thing.
Oh, the sound thing.
Yeah, the sound thing.
And with the bees buzzing in your ear.
Yeah, it very much felt the same as that to me. Is like they were just experimenting with that, and so I don't even really want the dark in Alien Encounter. I want it to be more of a VR type experience, almost like the Void, where you're sitting there, you're getting things are all happening in the room. The room is like things are falling apart, the aliens moving around, all that kind of stuff, but maybe using some of those techniques that they used from the Dark Ride, where you are feeling things are physically happening around you, but with the help of VR, augmented reality, it looks more intense. But it's like I said, to me, I think if you take the dark out of it, less people will be freaked out by that, because I know, like you said, Damon, you really love the dark part of it. Yeah. But I think that was a large reason why so many people came off that ride completely freaked out by it.
So the thing is, though, once you start to add VR in it, right, you also then limit the age of the kids, right? So now you all of a sudden have something where you have to worry about. Because really, is there any restriction on Flight of Passage? That's not true VR.
It's not like a VR headset or anything.
No. I think with a VR headset... Yeah, I think with a VR headset, the problem that you run into is just the age, right? I think there's got to be some sort of age on it, and Disney doesn't like age; they like height, right? So, but that's the only thing you might run into.
But we're also talking, fantasy reconstruction things here too. This also eliminates the issue of, people bringing their too young kids onto the ride.
True.
Yeah.
True.
So
I could see that.
So I think it would do better as something closer to the Void than as the.
And I think Disney doesn't have anything like that in its, a lot of other parks have VR in them, and Disney does not really, excluding the Void at this point, true VR. So I could see that.
Yeah. So that would be my wish list for it, is that, take Alien Encounter, make it into a cool VR experience, put it with the other, more adult rides, not next to, don't put it in Toy Story Land, put it next to Toy Story Land.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I like it. We should probably keep moving here soon, because we're going to keep these episodes short, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Well, we're gonna rip yours apart anyway, Tom. Because Ellen. It's the
there's
best
nothing
ride
you can do to fix it. I know. So first of all, with Ellen, the first thing, if you just went on it before it closed, the first thing you noticed is it was woefully out of date, right? So you would go and watch that pre-show, which, by the way, love the pre-show. I think you keep Ellen, you keep Bill Nye, you just make an updated version of it, right? And I think you should get rid of the...
We're keeping Bill Nye, too? Wow. You know who I would take? Who's the astrophysicist guy?
Neil deGrasse Tyson would be a good addition, yeah.
Oh, you could have the three of them.
Oh, that would be good. That would be a lot of fun, right?
Yeah, that would be good. But anyway, go ahead.
You do that. I don't know if you need to do the dream sequence thing anymore. I feel like that they could do something else with that. And I honestly don't know what that is.
So we're not doing Jeopardy then?
I feel like they already did Jeopardy. You're just mad because Stupid Judy would be gone, right?
Stupid Judy, yeah.
You need Stupid Judy to stay in.
Yeah, but we could bring something back to the table, right? Like, because again, maybe you don't bring Trebek. Dudes, Steve Harvey, Family Feud.
Do a Family Feud instead. I like it.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
Do a new game show. Okay, I like that. That'd be fun. I'm thinking you move away from the moving theater. Okay, so there's gigantic... I think we go more towards the trackless technology of today. The stuff that they're going to be using for,
Ratatouille?
For Ratatouille, for Minnie and Mickey's Runaway Railway. I think smaller cars, maybe just as many, I don't know. But I think it would be cool if they were smaller individual cars and that the experience for each person on it was different. Right, so those cars can go anywhere. You don't know where they're going to go, and there's so much space in that building. There's so many different cool things that I feel. So
you're keeping it the same building. Guardians of the Galaxy is kaput at this point.
Yeah, no, that doesn't exist. It's just the same building. We're keeping the same building, same exact thing. I also think this is a minor point that doesn't matter about the show. I think they should upgrade the solar panels on the roof of the building and have it power more of the building again. I kind of feel like you should keep that ride educational. Right,
I would be on board with that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. I know. There's not that much educational stuff left.
But I mean, are we doing the dinosaurs? Like, so what's that part look like? Are we doing the dinosaurs still, and just bring them up to date, or like what are we doing?
Yeah, I think it would be cool if it was I don't want to say like a choose your own adventure because we can't. It'd be hard to do. But with those trackless cars, every experience could be different on that ride, right? So maybe
you go to different times.
You
so
go to
instead
different
of
times, yes.
Yes, and you could be like 3 different ones. So one person you go to the dinosaur,
Yep.
one person goes Industrial Revolution.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
and
I could see that.
And also, that show was also pretty outdated at the end too, when talking about all the different energy types and things like that. There's new things that we know about now. I think it would be cool to explore those things instead of being in just a giant room with screens. Like, let's build out some big sets, right? Maybe we're talking about nuclear power or whatever, and you're taking your little car through a nuclear power plant. I don't know, or you could do a journey to the center of the earth type of thing, right? We're talking about fossil fuels. Maybe instead of like just looking at dinosaurs, we have a cool thing where we somehow bust through the crust of the earth and check out where the oil is.
So we'll give you that one. Then we'll give you Industrial Revolution. What's your third one?
Oh man, that's a good.
Just
question.
the future.
I guess
technology?
the future, yeah, like now,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like now, like biofuels or whatever else.
I could see that.
Yeah, I think it would be kind of cool, but I like the idea of using the trackless technology for that and having a different experience every time you go on it.
I'm really hung up on the idea of like the way you're describing it. Having an entire theater where all of a sudden it breaks up into chunks and just everybody goes off in different directions, right? Like,
yeah, I have no idea how that would work. I mean, just
but that's really cool. That's actually that could have potentially saved Ellen because that big ride thing, because it was like a big structure, right? If they could have broken that down into smaller chunks where they could individually control them,
I think that would be really cool.
Yeah.
And then
I like it.
mean, it doesn't even need to. I mean, they can, like you said, they can kind of go all over the place and go to different places and have a different experience every time. I think when you're talking about re-rideability, right, is when you can have a different experience every time you go on it. Like you want to ride that ride all the time, right? You want to go every single time.
I want to ride Ellen all the time, even if it was the same experience.
No, I agree. But
well, you can have that.
Exactly. So that was my thought for this. I think that's all I got as far as that creativity goes.
I like that. So I think what we're trying to accomplish for our listeners is going to give you like an in-betweener show. It's not going to be as long. We're going to have different ideas. I have some other ideas, upcoming if this is something that you guys are interested in. Again, this is a great opportunity if you want us to talk about something off the wall Disney to let us know. We will definitely do an episode based on, a request. That's not a problem either. But again, we're looking to kind of see if everyone listens. So make sure you kind of check it out and let us know what you think.
The mini episode. We're trying to come up with a good name for it.
Well, here's the thing.
I like
if it does, if it does well enough, we'll continue them. This is a test, right? Just like Disney would run a test. We're running a test to see if people are interested.
Off the purple wall.
The Instagram wall.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for checking in on this one. We appreciate it. This was a lot of fun, and we'll talk to you again next week.
This is Skipper Albert AWOL, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
We do a huddle when we hit a chair. How she can cuddle is no man's affair. I looked around from pole to pole, found her in a sugar bowl.